Hello, I'm Karen Rawls, Social Investment Manager at Chevron. Welcome to the Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship podcast. Chevron is proud to support the Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship. This one-year discovery program is designed for outstanding educators to learn, create, promote innovative and inclusive programs that teach STEM using digital fabrication. Participants in the fellowship program receive a $10,000 stipend to travel to a Chevron Fab Lab and another worldwide lab of their choice. This initiative is part of Chevron's partnership with the Fab Foundation, which aims to foster innovation, inclusivity in STEM education, and community empowerment. Over the years, Chevron and the Fab Foundation have collaborated on numerous initiatives to bring cutting-edge STEM education to underserved communities. We provide resources, training, and support educators, students, and communities at large. So join me in celebrating the achievements of the past Chevron FAB STEM Fellows who have demonstrated excellence in education and innovations. These fellows have made significant contributions to their communities and inspired the next generation of innovators. To learn more about the Chevron FAB Fellowships, please visit the fabfoundation.org website.
Hey everybody, my name is John Iwawaki. I'm the coordinator of science and engineering in West Contra Costa Unified School District, and I'm excited to be here today with Angel Johnson from Miami and Alex Fleming and Darcy Long from Fab Lab Richmond, and we're excited to have Angel here from out of town. We're going to talk a little bit about our visit and how our work intersects some things that we've learned, and we're just excited to be here and have this opportunity and share with each other. So, Angel, can you go ahead and introduce yourself first?
Yeah, so my name is Angel Johnson. I am the director of Fab Lab Miami. First, I want to say thank you to Chevron for providing me with the fellowship for the STEAM Fellowship Award for the 2024. And I'm really happy and glad to be here.
Thanks. All right, Alex.
Alex Fleming, manager of Fab Lab Richmond. Have been in place since its inception back in 2015, and excited to be able to collaborate and for this partnership with Angel.
Darcy.
Darcy Long, Fab Lab Richmond. I'm the instructional coach. I've been with Fab Lab for about 2.5 years, and I'm excited to learn.
All right. Thanks, everybody. So, Angel, you've been here for a couple days now from Miami. Your lab has some similarities and some differences. What have been some sort of highlights or things that what's noteworthy to you so far in your visit?
That we do a lot of things alike. So when it comes to the laser machine, some of the designs we do are very similar. You can tell Alex been at this for a while because mine may be a little basic compared to his. But when it comes to some of the software that we're using, some of the equipment that we're using, it's very, very much similar.
Yeah. Alex, Darcy, what have been what's standing out to you so far with the things that we've been doing with Angel? I know we've taken him to see a few different sites. We've done some activities. We still have more planned, but what stood out to you getting to meet Angel and hearing what he's been up to?
I've been very inspired by the ways in which he scaffolds kids' independence in his labs, the way he works with students at a really young age, but finds ways to hook them into the projects. He's very, very thoughtful in his sequencing of how he goes about first hooking students, getting them into like deeper applications of whether it's coding or design or learning how to use machines, and then also leveraging community partners to show kids the pathway into a career if they're so inclined. Nice.
I know we did that Sphero Ball activity yesterday with Coronado Elementary, and it was just, I noticed a lot of the conversations that the kids were having. This was third grade kids, never done, this exact activity before, but they had to really work together as a team. And Angel, he introduced the activity, but he didn't do it all for them. The idea, he set them up to struggle and have some success. And I just really, I think I appreciated that activity. And watching him do that. And then later we're going to be trying that with a high school class, and we'll see how that's different as well. So maybe you could all talk about your experience. So what is the intersection of Fab Lab, digital making, and education? What's that look like for you? What's been your experience? Maybe some highlights, maybe some challenges. Maybe you could just talk for a minute about what's it like to be in this industry of digital making in education. Angel, what do you think about that?
It's great. So me not having a background with nothing dealing with digital fabrication, when I first started this journey, I didn't even know what a 3D printer was. And being able to not have the background and being able to be successful as I am doing this now, it gives me the motivation to actually be able to teach students who may not think that this is the pathway for them. So that's something that I really enjoy. I love speaking about the careers that's related to STEM, getting them excited about pursuing careers in STEM, and then even putting the pressure on their schools to actually provide more STEM programs for them as well.
All right, Darcy, what about you? What's been this experience for you, like being in digital making and working in the educational field?
So for me, it's been a dream come true that I didn't even anticipate. So similar to Angel, I came to the Fab Lab with zero knowledge whatsoever of how to use the machines, zero knowledge of 3D design. I just, coming from the classroom, my top priority was engaging students by creating a vibrant learning space for them. And I never would have seen the outcomes of kids using design process, how they translate academically and just overall with their engagement going on in the classroom when we're not doing STEM learning. It's just like you're selling them on the happiness of exploring and making and giving them confidence in using their hands and their critical thinking skills to just kind of explore with things and solve problems. And when they light up, it's the most magical experience ever. So I feel like I wish I had known this more when I was full-time in the classroom. It's hard often to get away from the strict curriculum that we're given. But now I have, combined with my classroom experience, I know how to use these tools in a way that just supplements and extends the learning that's already going on. It's not something extra. It's actually going to build more deep understanding of what kids are learning and also engage the kids that are not feeling successful in the traditional way that I would have taught a particular topic.
Totally. I think we were like, I just think back to that activity that we were doing also, and kids are learning like communication skills and it's not just about the coding, right? We're teaching like teamwork. We're teaching, how to even operate the iPad, we're teaching about math, and we're teaching about literacy, and all of those things are working together, and they get to make something cool. And it might help them, lead them into a career in STEM, which I think is really valuable for our kids, in this community. And speaking of, our community here, like how do you feel like you're reaching new learners who don't necessarily have access to these tools, who it might be new for? Maybe they don't have role models or people that they know and work in the STEM industry. How do you feel like you're reaching new learners? What impressions are you making on them?
Great question. So with me, I want to reach new learners, which is why I actually chose Richmond, because I know you guys work with some of the younger kids. So it was me figuring out what activities are you doing or what lessons are you doing with some of the younger kids to see if that's something I can do so I can actually have it translate to my space. And with me, it's all about like relationship building. Like I've been doing a lot of community work for years now. So I'm going out, I'm talking to some of the nonprofits, some of the schools. So, and they're okay with me doing like trial runs for some of the younger kids. So I can be like, hey, I have this great project. I know you have a group of second graders. Is it okay for me to come try this with them? So I just love to be able to have that opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Has there been things that like you've seen or things that we've talked about here that you're excited to try, like back in your lab, in your context?
Yeah. So like we just left the engineering department where they was doing like a glider competition. That's something I want to do as well. Even the bridge competition they did, I used popsicle sticks. They used different materials. I never thought about implementing a walkway around it just to keep from impeding traffic. And then the things that you guys do at your lab, like when it comes to like the board games, like I never in my mind thought about creating like the board games, the complexity of it. And even some of the 3D printers that you guys have, like in my mind, I was just stuck on one brand. So now actually getting the opportunity to see what other 3D printers out there doing makes me want to try those as well. And even the software, like me, I was so used to using Inkscape, and then being able to look at Corel Draw and be like, oh, the trace bit is a lot nicer using this software. So those are like some takeaways that I'm actually going to take back to Miami with me.
Sure. Yeah. These guys, I just want to tell you, like, we had to sneak in the back of that classroom because anytime people see, in our community, see Alex and Darcy, they're kind of like celebrities. So they know they're about to do something fun. So that's why we snuck in the back door there. But Alex, Darcy, I want to go back to you on the equity piece. Like, are there ways that you're using? I mean, what you're doing is effective. Is there anything you can like share about what's your mentality around, reaching these new learners who haven't had these experiences before?
You just got to meet them where they're at and give them the chance to have the exposure to it, and give them experiences that are positive and not underwhelming or bogged down by too much minutia. It's just kind of straight to the fun and allowing them to experience some of these subjects, science and math and engineering, in kind of new ways that are outside the traditional kind of learning that goes on, textbooks, worksheets, stuff like that. So it kind of is just a way to bring it to life, put it in a new medium, show how it can be translated into, the same design or the same thought can be kind of executed 3 different ways. And so I think it leads into kind of teaching kids tool discernment. So it's not just, oh, this is a tool and it makes stuff. It's when does it make the most sense to use this as opposed to something else, and multiple ways to get to the same result, and having that kind of match up with the different learning styles that students have. And we know that traditionally kind of only one type of learner is engaged in the classroom. And so, again, the opportunities for kids to be creative and to think critically and to work in teams is really diminishing as programs are getting cut, music and all of these things that art programs and stuff that usually is the 1 or 2 outlets that kids have. We kind of bring a new dynamic, and as Darcy was saying earlier, we really try to align it with what's already going on in the classroom so that it's not an extra side to the plate. It's just a supplement to what's already going on, and an enrichment and enhancement of what's being taught.
For sure, yeah. And I just noticed, like, and you work with kids from K all the way up to 12, and I appreciate you for the way that you really build relationships. You are great with some people. Really have a specialty, like, oh, I would never work at an elementary school. I could never work with little kids or whatever. But you really have a way of building relationship, whether the kid is like 6 or 16 or whatever. You're great about that. And then so you lead with that relationship piece, but then you have the skills and the, I don't know, the way to teach the tools like you were talking about. But underneath all of that is the relationships. And I really appreciate that about you. Yeah.
I appreciate the words, definitely. Yeah, I mean, kids are amazing, and you never know what's going to come out of their mouth. You never know what they're thinking of. And again, with I think this specific generation, they've grown up with, in the digital age with screens in front of their face since they, can remember. And I think that is a little bit of a disservice to them. I think that they're not engaging their imagination. They're not pondering. They're not curious about stuff because everything is just given or delivered to them. They have the answer. It's kind of a microwave kind of society style thing where, when we were growing up, even movies, the CGI and the effects weren't really there, and it always looked better in your head when you were imagining it, or we were much more into books and had to paint the picture of what these words and the storyline was describing, and creating our own world and being kind of immersed in that. And I think the kids nowadays, it's lacking. And so forcing them into situations with, again, non-traditional learning, but in stuff that kind of seems almost above them. So robotics and coding and all this like stuff, especially for those who haven't been exposed to it or it's not ingrained in their community, that can be very intimidating. So to bring it in, show them the fun they can have with it initially, it kind of takes and removes away that stigma or that hesitation or that fear. And then once that wall has dropped down, then we can kind of get to the actual learning and kind of foundationally progressing them through the skills that they're going to need to be successful, or to even ponder or look at a career in STEM, or to understand what that even means, or the opportunities that skills that they learn afford them.
Yeah, it's like we're living in a digital age, right? Like not the way, we all grew up. But it's not the digital part that's uncomfortable for them. They're more comfortable with the digital part than we ever have been or will be, right? But sometimes it's the creativity or the challenges or the struggles that we're really trying to lead them through and make them comfortable with.
Yeah, what we witnessed yesterday in the third grade classroom was the perfect example of how STEM education and experiences for kids provides a level playing field. We saw students yesterday, and I can tell you the first group that figured out that maze, those are the students that have the most receptive and expressive language challenges. And in all the other areas of the curriculum, they're the ones that they need the most support, and they feel they lack self-confidence. And yesterday, we did not see that at all. They used the communication skills to figure out who was going to have a turn and how that process was going to happen. And then when the robot wasn't working, trying out different things, they were talking to each other. And it was so lovely to see them feeling so confident. Because they don't get that feeling on a day-to-day basis. And everybody knows, by third grade, everyone knows who the highest reader in the class is, who the mathematicians are. And those are not necessarily the ones that are going to excel in the hands-on projects. So it's the kids that have perseverance and patience and a really good work ethic that shine in the learning process. So I was really inspired by that yesterday because it was a perfect example. Again, we want kids to feel that everybody belongs, everybody can be successful, and finding their niche. And I saw kids finding a niche for themselves yesterday that they never even knew existed. Mm-hmm. So thank you for bringing that opportunity, Angel.
Oh, my pleasure, actually.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up soon here, but maybe we could just talk really quickly. What are your hopes for the future of this industry? Maybe what are some of your hopes or goals, either in the short term or in the long term? What do you think about as we move forward in this work? What are you wishing for? What do you want to see happen?
Something I would love to see happen is just more collaboration. There are some things that you guys are doing that I wish I was more aware of. So being able to collab with other Fab Labs would be great. Moving forward, I would love that. And for me, just a personal goal for Fab Lab Miami is I love the mobile unit that you guys have. I would love to have that back in Miami where I'm able to get out and see more people. As you know, when it comes to having a Fab Lab, sometimes transportation can be an issue. So trying to get kids to come over to your Fab Lab can be very difficult. But having a mobile unit, being able to actually go to their site and provide those programmings, that'll be great for me.
Absolutely. Logistics is a huge challenge. So having that option has been good for us. Alex, how about you? You have some hopes or goals for the next, what's your vision for this industry, for this work that we're a part of?
Yeah, I think Darcy and I have recognized that, again, going back to kind of the digital age that kids are being grown up in, they're almost being defaulted to being consumers of stuff. They're just, again, given things, they're showing things. This is what this looks like. This is what this should be. This is what this is. And they just consume, whether it's content or, consumer products. They're just consuming. And again, we want them to kind of flip that switch, and instead of becoming consumers, being creatives and producing things and trying to, tackle questions or to just kind of go in that direction. And I don't want the kids to be kind of just apathetic and just taking things at face value, typing in an answer or a question to Chat GPT and not knowing how to, fact check that or where that information came from. Or again, it's just kind of like discernment, right? And being able to understand that they do have a lot of power and a lot of creativity, and it's just about creating the safe spaces that have all of those capabilities to kind of bring those things to life. And I'm very hopeful for the future, and I think that's why our target is so young initially, and trying to give them those positive experiences throughout early elementary and into upper elementary, so that, before their minds or personalities are set a certain way, they kind of have this to fall back on in terms of again, positive confidence building experiences that might make them, less hesitant or just more hopeful to try new things. And I think, possibilities over probabilities, and kids need to try as many things as they can as early on as they can to give them some type of bearing in terms of what would be a good direction to head in life.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a lesson for all of us, really, right? We all tend to, like, things are so easy to consume now, and I feel a little convicted about that myself. How many of us have just gotten our faces buried in our phones, scrolling, and before you know it, it's been 40 minutes. And so I love that idea of, being creative versus being just a consumer, and even, and having an opportunity to fail, to try something and fail, which is, something that can be scary for us and for kids, maybe even more. And for it to be like, okay to fail and try again and try some, iterate. We want to teach that as well. I know y'all are great at that too. Darcy, what about you? Will you have some hopes or goals? What do you look forward to in this industry, in this field?
Well, I really agree with Alex on the really immediate need for kids to take ownership as creators, to tap into their ingenuity, to see the value in their own ideas, not to just idolize what they see projected out in media. That could be them, to see themselves and to ask the question, so what skills do I have to share? And I feel that the work we do allows kids to think about themselves in that way. So, when we're teaching reading or we're teaching math, they don't necessarily, they're like, oh, I'm not going to be a professional reader one day. Might be a professional mathematician, but they can see themselves as makers, as coders, as engineers, and just taking the hobbies and the things that they like to do and figuring out, well, what area of engineering might go along with that. But it just makes them question. We're providing them with a toolkit to create, but also the mindset to be the problem solvers and the critical thinkers to get from where they are now to where they want to be. Because design engineering isn't just what you do in the classroom, it's what you do in every aspect of your life. So we're teaching them, the same process you're doing here to solve this challenge of building something, you can do with building your life, building your career. And your outcomes.
Yeah, there's like a lot of transferable skills here we're talking about. And I think something else I heard in your answer was like, we're building leaders as well. Yeah. We're building opportunities for students to see themselves as leaders. And I think in this field, in the STEM field, that's even more important, in the communities that we're in. And so I'm grateful to have that kind of an influence and an impact. And I'm really appreciating each one of you for the work that you do in your communities as well. I think each one of you is really providing you're providing a model, and you're providing the skills and tools and opportunities for kids. And I just really appreciate you and the work that you all do. I want to thank you for being here today. Each one of you, thank you for being a part of this, what we've been doing the last few days. I want to thank Fab Foundation and Chevron, too, for this opportunity. It's really been a lot of fun, and we've been learners. It's been good to be together and just see what the overlap is, be challenged, be convicted, be encouraged, and that's been good. So we can wrap up. Anybody have anything else you want to add, or any final words?
No, just thank you again.
Yeah, thanks. It's mutual. It's been such a joy to have you here, and thanks for inspiring.
Yeah, thanks for choosing Richmond, and looking forward to the collaboration in the future and down the line, and maybe even getting out there to visit your lab.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Oh, I love that idea. Let's go. Let's do it. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody.
The Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship is a one-year discovery program for outstanding educators to learn about, create, and promote innovative and inclusive programs that teach STEM using digital fabrication and engage new and underrepresented student populations in STEM education and careers. The program is inspired by Chevron's social investment strategy and the global Fab Lab network, both of which foster innovation, learning, and invention. Fab Labs, with their suite of digital fabrication tools and prototyping machines, including laser cutters, 3D printers, vinyl cutters, and milling machines, are inspiring young people across the world to learn about science, technology, engineering, and math STEM. These are safe and accessible places to play, create, learn, mentor, and invent. The fellowship awards a stipend of $10,000 to each selected educator to use toward creating and disseminating new, inclusive practices in STEM education and hands-on impactful making. The fellows will visit a few Fab Labs of their choice anywhere in the world to learn, to reflect, to co-create new curriculum and disseminate new practices. Their work will be published in podcasts, online blogs, and through talks and presentations at conferences and educational events over the coming year. For more information about this podcast series and the Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship Program, please reach out to us at cvxfabstem@fabfoundation.org.